Do you have trouble choosing colors for your projects? Or maybe you just want to find a color scheme that's a little different than you usually use, something that's out of your comfort zone. Today I have a really cool tool for you that will help you do that. Hey there, creative people, Sandy here. Welcome to another Friday Findings video at keepsakecrafts.net. So this video is all about this cool app called Adobe Capture. It's perfectly free. You can download it to your tablet, to your phone. It's good for Android and iPhone, Apple products. It does a whole bunch of different things, seemingly unrelated. Some of them are related, but today I wanted to talk to you about colors because it's a great way for creating color palettes. So let's open up a photo that I have in my camera, and we'll start with this one. I actually emailed that to myself from Pinterest. And what you have are these little buttons that you can move around and find different areas and create a color palette. I just think it's so much fun. Now, I admired this photo here, this collage of different fall elements. I thought it was really nice because it was kind of different fall colors. There isn't quite so much orange and pumpkin-y colors, but it still says fall, and it's kind of just got like a shabby chic cottage garden look to it that I really liked. So when you open it up, they've already selected areas, but you can go ahead and play with it and choose whatever you want to make yourself a palette. Then you can go on from that to design a piece of polymer clay, a piece of jewelry, choose beads. It's just a great way to start. Do be careful when you hit the check mark. That does not save it. You have to go one step further. You can play with this more. You can change them. You can change the RGB, the brightness of each one. It just gives you some graphical ideas of showing you where you're at. You can, so this just made them all lighter, made them all darker. Back to the image, shows you what you picked. But you got to hit this arrow one more time, and then you can give it a name and save it. I've actually already done that. If I go to my library, there's the image, and this is what I ended up choosing for my colors. So really useful, a really helpful tool. Now let me show you a little bit more about how to get these colors in polymer clay. If you're a jewelry artist and you're not into polymer clay, you might want to stop the video here because you can take this, get out your bead stash, and start playing and see what you have that would work. But for me, I actually am going to use this in a polymer clay project, and I wanted to mix colors that were pretty close to these. Actually, I think I swapped these two, didn't I? Not that it matters, but just to show you. So once you have a palette like this chosen, how do you get these colors in polymer clay? It helps to have a good knowledge of color theory, but let me show you a few things that I did that helped me to get, I'd say, pretty close to that. The very first thing I did was I went through my clay and I pulled out a bunch of colors that I thought were pretty close. Of course, to get this, I could probably add white to this one. Let's see, this is key lime, latte, cowboy. It's kind of in between those two. Burnt umber. So that was my first step, was to go through, find colors that I thought were close. Then I looked at them a little bit more carefully. I'm not sure how well, sorry about the glare, how well you can see this on screen, but if you look at these two together, this is Primo Spanish Olive, I can see right away that this one is more blue, which makes sense. I did want more of a smoky, kind of foggy look and less yellow. So I need to add blue to it. This one is pretty close, but it needs to be a bit more green. And then these browns, I wasn't sure of at all. So I went another route. What I did was I took all of these browns out of here. Didn't use them at all in getting these colors. instead, I remembered my color theory and also my observations that I wanted this color to be more blue, and I added a pinch of ultramarine blue to this green. Here's my chart. This is Spanish olive straight out of the package, and here it is with a bit of just a pinch. Add tiny amounts. In fact, what I would suggest you do is you start off with just like a small ball, maybe 1/4 of an inch, probably no more than 1/2 of an inch, and start adding little bits. So like this just got the tiniest little bit proportionally, and just kind of, I'm not going to give you exact measurements because it's not the way I work. I do work with color kind of intuitively, but I just sort of noted the proportion of blue to green as I started mixing. You know, I could test that. I could hold it up to my screen. I could hold it up to this until I was happy with the color. And then once I had a pretty good idea of how much proportionately I needed to add, then I could mix a larger amount, whatever you need for your project. Next, to make the brown, again, remember your color theory. So I have this color and this. And you know, if you mix all the colors together, you're going to get mud. You're going to get brown. But a shade of mud or a shade of brown that goes with the colors you have is what you're going for. So this brown, which is this one right here, is just this with the Spanish olive with the ultramarine blue with a bit of cadmium red mixed in. And again, I tested a small amount until I had a pretty good idea of the proportions. So the Spanish olive plus the ultramarine blue gave us this obviously more blue-green, plus red gave us brown. Then I wanted to lighten the brown, and so I added white. And got this one, although I had to add a little bit more Spanish olive to get it, because if I looked at this one on the screen, this is kind of a greeny brown, so it needed a bit more of the Spanish olive in it to get that color. So instead of using the pre-packaged browns, which are nice, I love cowboy and latte and burnt umber, and I use them a lot, but there are so many shades of browns, and in order to get one that would work in my palette, consider using this approach. To get my last two colors, first I went back to this green that I made by adding the ultramarine blue to the Spanish olive, and I added 3 or 4 times the white. And again, tested that by rolling little 1/4 inch balls and finding that that was about right. And then to this, I added about 2 times key lime. And you can see the difference. It's very close, but it just is definitely much more green, like the palette that I had made. So use these principles whenever you want to mix colors for a polymer clay project, remembering your color theory, remembering that what actually makes browns and greens. I find it kind of tricky to match shades of olive and brown, but a little bit of careful observation and experimentation can lead you to a nice palette that you'll enjoy using in your project. If you enjoyed this video and you learned something from it, you might want to get bonus tutorials every month, so check out my Patreon page where my patrons can get up to 2 bonus tutorials every month. Thanks so much for watching. Happy creating. Bye-bye.